Now, we've been getting reaction from all the major parties represented in the House of Commons, but of course UKIP are not represented there, and we know an awful lot about their immigration and their European policies, but what about their economic policies? Well, our political editor, Adam Bolton, is with their leader, Nigel Farage. Adam.
Yes, indeed, good point. They can't speak in Parliament, but they can speak now. So, Nigel Farage, just supposing you had been part of a government, what would you have done differently today in the budget?
Today was the day for a shock and awe budget, something to really try and kickstart growth in the economy. And actually, if you look at it, it's a very neutral budget, not much has been done. There are no proposals to really cut back on government spending, and bear in mind, at the end of the 5 years of this Parliament, the national debt will have increased by 45%.
Well, they've saved considerable billions extra in government efficiencies, and that those are going to be put towards stimulating the economy.
They're borrowing £114 billion this year more than they're going to earn. You know, that is adding another 10% to the size of the overall national debt. Public spending is out of control.
So what do you cut in public spending?
Well, we spend £60 billion a year on quangos, much of it to pay an awful lot of money to people who, as far as I can see, don't do much good for the British economy.
Well, they're mainly regulators, aren't they?
And we've got too much of it. And of course, the reason we've got all these regulators is we've got 120,000 pages of close-type legislation from Brussels.
All right, so that's 60 billion, presumably unemploying all those people who work on those bodies as well. You still got more than the same again to go to get the borrowing down. What else?
Well, we could, for a start, not be paying away vast sums of money, £50 million a day to the European Union. That's another 1%. Huge amounts of money spent on foreign aid, not going to the right targets. But we've got to start creating growth, and what I want to see is a budget where we don't just cut government spending, but we cut taxes too. Put money back in people's pockets and get them out there in the high street spending it.
Well, I think everyone would like to see that, but the question is it affordable? And it isn't, is it?
Well, you sometimes have to gamble a little bit. But, you know, to carry on as we've done, I mean, today was George Osborne's 4th budget. And if you take the key markers of growth, size of a national debt, and annual deficit, by any measure, this government is achieving nothing on those key indicators. And I think to have raised the tax threshold to 10,000 is a step in the right direction. But actually, why not go further? Why not go to 13,000? Why not say no tax on the minimum wage, give people real incentives to get off benefit and get back to work?
One thing you would have agreed with, presumably, is it wasn't announced this year, but it's coming into effect this year, reducing the top rate of tax.
Yes, I do agree with that, very much so. And, you know, over the last few weeks, I've spoken in Zurich, in Monaco, and met lots and lots of British businessmen who are still employing large numbers of people in this country. I'd much rather those people were here paying UK tax rather than living somewhere else.
But those businessmen are getting something, aren't they? They're getting corporation tax coming down, and they're also getting, particularly small businesses, this £2,000 forgiveness on their national insurance.
Yeah, well, that's a very good thing, and I certainly applaud that. That's a big step in the right direction. But on corporation tax, you know, the Irish have got corporation tax down at 12.5%.
You wouldn't swap our economy for theirs, though, would you?
No, you wouldn't. But what you would swap is the amount of foreign direct investment that has come into Ireland over the course of the last 25 years as a result of low corporation tax. And we keep moaning about Starbucks and all these companies paying their money in Switzerland. That's because the Swiss have a much lower corporation tax rate. And really, what's happened today on that, it's just fiddling at the edges. We needed to have a budget that was far more radical than we saw today.
But if you are a UKIP supporter, but frankly, when it comes to the next election, you may not have the choice of going for a UKIP candidate. Sounds like you'd still go for a Conservative over the Labour Party.
Look, there's going to be a UKIP candidate in every constituency come the next general election, and by then, you know, we will have set out much more clearly the levels of government spending that genuinely need to be cut back, and we're the one party that'll be honest with the country and point out we're in a mess. We're spending far more than we're earning every single year. We've got to get a grip.
That's exactly what George Osborne's just said, isn't it?
Yes, I know, and it's completely false, isn't it? Because on the one hand, he says, we're being prudent, we're making savings, and on the other, by the end of his chancellorship, the national debt will have increased by 45%. It's mind-blowing.
Nigel Farage, thank you very much indeed. Back to you.
Adam, thank you very much indeed.